So next up is actually Medea Benjamin, one of the co-founders of CODEPINK, is going to speaking to us about ending the wars.
So I want to acknowledge the people who spoke earlier because I think they had such profound things to say. Can you hear me okay? Julie, who spoke about a cooperative economy where we're trying to take care of each other. And then we had people from the caravan talk about how we want to spread compassion and love. And then we had our sister from the indigenous community telling us about what a real revolution looks like and how we have to stop occupying other people's lands and resources. And that leads me to what I wanted to talk about, which is war, the Pentagon, and how it's just the exact opposite of everything we want to see in our country and around the world. The Pentagon steals our money and gives it to killers overseas who kill people in our name, and we're letting it happen. And the Pentagon steals money from our schools, steals money from our healthcare system, steals money from getting us a kind of transportation system we need so we don't keep using our cars. It steals money from the green economy we want to see. It steals money from everything we really need the money for. So what are we going to do? Well, it seems like public opinion is really turning in this country. Raise your hand if you're sick and tired of seeing our troops in Afghanistan. Well, guess what? You now represent the majority of people in this country, including the majority of Republicans. Well, guess what? The war machine is very worried about that. The Pentagon is very worried about that. The powers that control our country are very worried about that. Because they want to keep the wars going, because the wars are profitable for the 1%. We don't make very much in this country anymore, but we make a hell of a lot of weapons. And they want to keep making those weapons. And the only way to keep making the weapons is keep the wars going. And the only way to keep the wars going is to keep the American people in a state of fear. And the only way to keep the wars going now, when the American people say we've had enough of it, is to hide the wars from the public. And that's what's happening now. And that's what's symbolized by this machine right here called the drone. So let me get some volunteers up here because I want to hold up some pictures of things you usually never see on our TV screens, and that's the victims of these drones. So we need some more volunteers up here because we want to show you who is being killed by these drones. And the only time I've seen this on at US TV has been this week, finally, on Rachel Maddow's show, finally talking about these killer drones. Of course, Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Have been talking about it for a long time, but not mainstream media. So come up here, if you could come close to me, and just hold up these pictures for a minute. So this is what you do not see. And if I could get somebody else to hold up this Stop the Killer Drone sign, but we need you to hold up this picture. So let me just tell you some of what people are holding up here. This boy over here, an orphan from US drones in Pakistan. Most of these pictures are from Pakistan and Yemen. That young child over there, killed by a US drone. The next one, killed by US drone. This was a teacher in a small village in northern Pakistan. And a young man who just graduated high school, killed by US drones. Maisol Khan, 8 years old, killed by US drones. a meeting of some of the most respected elders in northern Pakistan, where they do a collective meeting called a jirga as part of the culture to talk about community problems and how to resolve them collectively, to somebody piloting one of these drones from 8,000 miles away in the United States. It looked like a Taliban training camp, and they dropped those Hellfire missiles, killed over 50 of the most respected leaders in the community. A young man here, 16 years old, wanted to document the drone victims, got trained in how to use cameras because they don't let journalists into this region, killed 2 days after he was trained on how to document the drone. Innocent children killed by U.S. drones, estimated 175 of them in Pakistan alone. This picture over here, the first drone strike in Pakistan under President Obama, 3 days after he was elected to office, killed a member of the peace community, his family, the shopkeeper, 2 neighbors. This young boy was the only survivor of that attack. The one down there leveled an entire compound of the home of a local peacemaker. The one on the end there, a grisly picture. You don't see these on the U.S. screens. And you know what happens when you don't see these pictures? You don't develop any sense of compassion for the victims. And our government can lie to us like it does. The chief of counterterrorism, John Brennan, for this administration, said last year that no civilian had been killed by our drones.
Liar.
No civilian. A lie. And we have proof right here before you. Thousands of people have been killed by U.S. drones, and they call them militant. Does anybody want to tell me what a militant is? That's right. Somebody's just pointing to yourselves. You're all militants. According to President Obama, a militant is any military-age male who lives in the zones where we are using these drones. Just think about that. To some other people, a militant is somebody who is trying to get U.S. troops out of their country. One man's militant, another man's freedom fighter. A picture over here I wanted to show. Can you step forward? Oh, no, wait. Where'd it go? This one. Step forward here. Take a good look at this picture. A long look at this picture. This is a picture of an American citizen, a 16-year-old boy born in Denver, moved to Yemen because his family moved to Yemen, killed by a U.S. drone. These are his Facebook pictures that talks about how he likes rap and hip-hop and swimming. His friends in Denver said, a typical American boy, never any interest in militant activities, however you want to define that, killed by a U.S. drone in Yemen. And when the U.S. government was asked, why are you killing Americans with drone strikes overseas? The Attorney General, Eric Holder, said, oh, Americans are under the misconception that they have the right to a judicial process. No. You don't. He said you only have the right to a due process, and that is, we get together at the White House on, quote, Terror Tuesdays. What day is today? We look at a list of people and their pictures, they look like baseball cards, and we decide who's going to be killed and who's not going to be killed. That is the due process that American citizens living overseas have today. Well, this is not just about American citizens overseas, because these drones are coming home to haunt us here by our own government. And the same military and powers that be, whether it's a Democrat or Republican government, that are killing people in other lands, are militarizing our society here at home. Raise your hand if you've seen the militarization of your police departments here at home. Raise your hand if you think the Occupy movement is the victim of militarization of the police department here at home. So we have plenty of reasons to try to stop this because we care about the people being killed with our fancy new technology overseas, and we care about this fancy new technology being used to further erode our basic rights here at home. The drone industry wants every police department in this country to have its own drones. There's a problem with that, though. Police departments are being squeezed budget-wise just like every other department in this country. They don't have the money to buy these fancy drones. Well, there's a solution to that. Homeland Security. Homeland Security is giving money to police departments to buy drones. We must stand up and say, we will not allow that to happen in our country. We will not allow to see a further militarization of our, quote, law enforcement agencies here at home. So there's a lot of things we can do, and we have a workshop coming up at 1:45, and I'd love to talk to you about it more. I'm a peace person, so I don't advocate shooting down drones. But there are other people, conservative folks in the libertarian movement. You might have heard of a right-winger called Charles Krauthammer. He wrote a piece called Rifles in the Air, America, and he said that the first person to shoot down a drone hovering over his home will be a folk hero in the United States. Now in our movement we have folks called hackers, and I think that it's a very interesting idea because it is actually easy to hack into these. We've seen how the Iranian government hacked down one of these drones. And there was a professor in Austin just this week who with $1,000 worth of equipment hacked down a drone. But we can also go to our police departments and occupy them and tell them to get rid of the drones or not to buy drones. We can demand that Homeland Security stop using our tax dollars to purchase drones or other weaponized, militarized equipment. We don't need them in our country. We don't want them. We can also pass local resolutions that call your community a drone-free zone. We have sample resolutions here, and we'd like you to take a copy and try to get it passed in your community. And I want to give thanks to the folks in CODEPINK, Veterans for Peace, and other groups who have done so much great work to be at the bases, at the headquarters of the companies that are producing these drones, walking across the line at those bases, getting arrested, putting your bodies on the line. Raise your hand if you've done some kind of protest against drones. Thank you all. We need to have everybody here protesting the drones. And I also want to let you know of a resource, a new book I just published called Drone Warfare, Killing by Remote Control. If you want a copy, I'll have them available tomorrow. It's good for us to get educated about these issues so we can go out and educate others. Because while 7 out of 10 Americans thought it was time to get the troops home from Afghanistan, 8 out of 10 Americans said it was fine to kill people with drones. Terror suspects. Nobody convicted of anything. Terror suspects. That included a majority of Democrats, and it included a majority of people who considered themselves liberal Democrats. So we got a lot of education to do. We got a lot of organizing to do. And I also just want to put this in the context that everybody here knows, but we have to spread as we talk about this lethal drone technology, that this is part and parcel of a war economy, an economy that keeps us from having the peaceful, sustainable, green economy that we need. And as we fight against the latest weapon that our warmongers have come up with, we've got to fight against the entire war economy. We got to bring our troops home from around the world. We got to close the over 800 bases that we still have occupying other people's lands. We have to have an economy that is life-affirming, that is one that is compassionate, that has compassion for our brothers and sisters suffering in the United States and around the world, Power to the peaceful. Ground the killer drones. Stop the killing. Thank you.